We could sit and chit chat, or we could get this going.
You should be good to go. Let me look and see if we have participants. I can't believe it always does that online. So it's just us. There's nobody on Zoom. It's just us and Jason. So. Okay.
Okay, so 6:01, and we'll call the meeting to order. And roll call, please, Kathy.
Mayor Bean,
Here.
Councilmember Chapman,
Here.
Councilmember Furby is excused, Councilmember Scanlon,
Here.
Councilmember Skug.
Here.
Thank you. Next up is agenda comment. If there's anyone in the room who would like to provide comment on any one of the agenda items, you may do so. Number four. Okay. If you want to go ahead, and he will turn the camera and you can go up to the podium. I think agenda comment is 3 minutes. Okay.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Claudia Demarest, 821 Maurice, Ishpeming. I see this department ceiling repairs. We have a $6,050. Did you get any other estimates?
We attempted to get other estimates, yes, and several companies have said that they're too full and aren't available. I think we've reached out to at least 3 companies and we've received 1. With one saying they would come back, but then didn't, and we reached back to them and they said they were not going to be available.
Okay. Because according to the charter,
We understand.
okay, thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for agenda comment?
Flip your camera around.
And there's no one on Zoom?
There's no one on Zoom.
Okay. Then we will move on to the agenda items, the first of which is Anderson, Tachman and Company 2021 audit presentation. There's this if you want.
Set these going.
Did you want to take one?
Is that their report?
Yes.
We'll give this a whirl. So we have the big book and the little book. You want to go word by word through the big book? I'm not seeing a lot of parades.
They didn't give
Student.
us.
We'll start short and sweet, but if you want to go anywhere, we can go wherever you want to go. Starting on page 5 of the big book is the opinion. So you have an unmodified opinion. You comply with all the generally accepted accounting principles. It says they're your statements, not ours. We take a sampling of transactions. We don't look at every single transaction. So, short and sweet. Looking at page 18 and 19, we roll the city up in total. We ended up with a net position of $33 million. And that's an increase of about just over $2 million from the year before. The business type activities, which is water, sewer, had a gain of just under $1 million, and the general fund activities and major local street and stuff had a gain of just over 1.3 million. Looking at page 18, the big change this year is the pension bond. So you issued roughly $6 million worth of new debt. That offset the net pension liability. So we kind of offset that a little bit. So I'm curious to see how that goes. You're the first one I've really worked with that have gone with the bonding of paying that debt off. So I'm curious to see how that's all gonna factor out over time with MERS and everything. So it'll be interesting, but what's nice about it is you've set your payments in stone now. Here's the bond payment, you know what it is. You're not gonna get the big fluxes from MERS. Hopefully it should stabilize that, so we'll see what happens going forward. Looking at the governmental funds on page 22, the local major street funds both had big increases this year, together about $1 million between the two. The main reason there is we brought in more money than projects you did in the current year. That's all that kind of happened there. No surprise there. The other funds don't really change that much. And then the general fund had a gain of $100,000, giving just over $1 million of funds. So now we can go to the graph packet. You can kind of look at this a little bit.
Is it Mike?
Yeah.
The audits I've been here for, I guess I'm looking in the auditor's report for more verbiage. The ones I've been here, it was kind of, and you've probably been here for it, but it was kind of, we did the audit, we completed the audit on this day, and the city overall is in good shape.
I haven't got that.
Oh, okay, very good. Thank
Yeah, I was
you.
gonna say, I feel like we talk about that at the end.
Exactly. I'm really gonna go through this.
A good memory, but it's really short.
So I have a quick question then.
Yeah.
Just going back to the bonding, you said that we're the first community that's kind of done that. What have the other communities kind of done for that?
What a lot of it's a mixed bag out there. What a lot of the communities have done is they stopped their defined benefit plan, moved it over to the defined contribution plan, and are just waiting through time and paying MERS off that way. Some have kind of worked with MERS to get us, close their plan, get a stable payment plan in place of here's what you're gonna pay on a yearly basis versus what the actuarial is saying you can do. Some are still wide open and just
Right.
paying more and more every year into MERS. Some years are good, some years are better, worse, but overall I see the MERS payments are climbing over time.
Right.
And most of that is coming from the actuarial calculations of what is the future interest rates going to be. And that's the biggest factor because for years and years, MERS used 8.75% interest. That's what they figured it would earn. And they were nowhere near that for a lot of years, and they were actually going backwards. So that actually pushes up your required payments for years forward. We have a good year, then it comes back. So getting the bond hopefully eliminates that market swing for you as much, and that's where I'm curious to see how this is going to play out. But yeah.
Yeah, that was my next question is what are your thoughts, I guess, going this route versus going the other route?
It's a little bit of who better invests your money.
Gotcha.
You know, you're putting all the money into MERS. Now, hopefully, they invest it wisely, and you'll see a nice flat trend. But that's where it's going to be interesting to see as the market fluctuates, you have more money in there. So are you going to see bigger swings in that pension liability just from changing investment? And how are they going to relate that to the required annual contribution?
Okay.
And just comment, we were in the position of changing from defined benefits to contributions and waiting. And the waiting wasn't doing us very well with the exponentially growing payments of at least $300,000 a year over the last 3 years. So But the state is now working to try to figure out everybody else that didn't get themselves healthy like us. So the state's trying to figure out how to help those that didn't help themselves. We were just good enough to help ourselves. But if you look back in our pension bonding, the estimate was a savings of $5.3 million over the life of the bond. So if that holds true, we're standing to
Yeah.
do very well for ourselves. So.
And that's kind of what I felt too, is I kind of felt like, you know, you guys, our staff really acted proactively in directing us this way. I just feel like it's gonna be a good outcome.
Yeah, and that's where I think a lot of people didn't go the bonding route because of the unknowns. They're kind of looking at it as, okay, we've got this bond payment in here, we know we're gonna have to pay that. Well, what if MERS does this to us again, and in 5 years we're back to 300,000 because of the market swings? How is that gonna play out with MERS, or are we better off where we're at? And so it's a mixed bag, and no, not enough time has gone through the hourglass to truly see how this is going to play out. But if you were going to do it, now is the time before the interest rates on bonds went up. So,
And we were the last municipality to get a bond before the rates went up. We locked in, I think, at 1.3%. So we bonded at the right time and like to the right minute.
yeah. So, looking back at the graphs, looking at the first one, looking at fund balance and cash, 2001 you'll see is really kind of squirrely, but that's because you had the $6 million payment out to MERS, kind of totally skewing the schedule out here a little bit. But what you can see is the fund balances kind of stayed constant over the last 5 years. Not big swings in there. You know, you were kind of in that 60 to 120 day benchmark. And when I'm using benchmark, I'm saying take your expenses in the general fund divided by 365 days. How many days of can you run without working cash?
What's kind of the recommendation to have? No, okay.
So everybody's, you know, the state's average is, you know, that's 60 to 120 days
Okay.
where you want to be. If you start getting under 10% of expenses in fund balance, the state starts looking at you more, because they don't want you to get in a deficit. If you get under 5% of expenditures, then they kind of put you on oh, we really need to watch and start monitoring you this to try to keep you from getting into the deficit in the first place.
And I think sorry, go ahead, Stu. I think in past years, we've talked about that percentage, and we've been right, like between 15 and 20-ish.
Yeah.
So well above that threshold. And I can't really, I did was that some training or something, and they said 15 was like the ideal,
Yeah.
like number or whatever, so.
Yeah.
I heard 15 to 25 at one point, but yeah, you're right.
The big factor is, are you saving? That's for baseline operations, but are you putting money aside to do something next year or the year after? If you plan on, hey, we need to put away, and I'm just gonna pull something, say $1 million to buy a new fire truck, we need to save over the next couple of years. That's where you wanna bring that fund balance up above that, so you can show, hey, we're saving that, so you have money in the bank versus borrowing. That's where if we look at the next one is, where is your revenue coming from? And we pulled the pension bond stuff out of the following graphs here to try to have comparability. Property taxes is 47% of the overall revenue. State and federal sources is 40%, and that is higher this year because of all the ARPA and CARES funding and special funding. But nothing totally out of line when I look at that. And that's where if I look at the next one in the 5-year trend on the general fund. You see a big drop in 18. That's when we put the motor pool fund into place. So you'll see that when we get to expenses also. So all that activity that used to be in the general fund is now in the motor pool fund. So we were kind of flat for a few years, and then we saw a spike this year because you're getting the extra COVID cares funding and everything else. That's where we look at the next one, looking at expenditures, where you're spending money. You know, general government is 34%, public safety is 32%, public works is 13%. So nothing totally out of line looking at this one. And that's when we look at the 5-year trend, you know, you see the drop from 17 to 18, as in motor pool, you see a bump in 21. And that's kind of spending some of that MERS money. Part of it too is you had a little more in park projects and some of the costs with issuing the bond and bringing it up. But nothing jumping out at me and saying, oh, we have concerns here. That's where if we look at page kind of 25 now, and with the graphs, kind of looking at the sewer fund. The sewer fund had just under $400,000 gain for the year, bringing the fund balance up to 10 million. And when we kind of look at the graph, it's kind of been flat now. Slowly bringing up working capital over time. Net income, a little bit of net income going forward. So kind of the problems we had back in the day where it was almost run dry, you kind of turn that around, and it's looking fairly decent now. Same with the water fund. You know, that had about $500,000 gain per year. Looking at the 5-year trend here, you'll see the big green bars kind of in 18, especially 19, and then coming back in 20. That was the big USDA project coming in there. So when I'm looking at that, the funds are looking pretty good in that respect. You know, on one hand, you could say, hey, we made $500,000 in those funds. But the other side of that is a lot of that net income is going for bond payments, setting up the USDA reserves, so it doesn't show as an expense. It's just allocating stuff around on the balance sheet a little different, and you know, you're depreciating your capital assets over time that the bond paid for. So it's not like, ooh, let's run out and lower rates. I mean, you're doing good, you're covering your costs, and that's where when you kind of look at that working capital, especially in the water fund, you know, you were over $500,000 in the hole at one time, and now you're up to over 2 million. So we're looking pretty good there. Those that want, you got the nice little numbers in the back that can trace them out to the audit report. See where all the numbers come from. We had a single audit this year, that went fine. I didn't see any issues there. The big one there was the CDBG block grant. We tested that, everything came through okay. The only issue we had is you were over budget in a few line items. Nothing that significantly concerns me from that respect. Now we'll get to how the audit went. I'll be honest, it was rough. It was one of the roughest audits we've had in a while. We know there was turnover. We know we had Plant Moran in here, but we were working with Plant Moran, and the day the audit was due, Plant Moran was still sending us journal entries at 1 o'clock. That we were trying to rip through this so we could get it issued to the state on time. So there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of what's this, what's that, where's this, changing things, trying to figure things out of, you know, Joe really wasn't in here yet, Jim was gone, the plant was working through things, we know there was turnover, but it was rough. We finished it, I think about 4:30, 5 o'clock, we actually got it issued and off to the state on time, so it was way closer than I liked. Hopefully next year that will be an issue, but there was a lot of learners, we had the new bonds, you know, people coming in, plant marine, and all, what about this, what about that, going back and forth, on how to handle different things, what have they done in the past, where are we going in the future? You know, I guess I was a little disappointed, I thought they would have been a little more ahead of the game than where they were, but like all CPA firms are all on the sugar life, so on the other hand, I can see how it happens. That's the short version. Does anybody have any additional questions?
I guess I don't want to make a question, I just want to make a statement. And I don't think that I'm taking it anyway, I want to make clear, Plant Moran did exactly what they were asked to do with all of the challenges that were before them, and we were successful in getting done on time. Were we crunching and, you know, one of those, we waited to the last minutes? Yeah, because we were waiting to get somebody on board. We didn't get somebody on board. We hired somebody and then we had to catch everything up. We had to get journals caught up. There was a lot of catch up to do. And we were successful in getting done on time. It was because we had the two CPA firms working very diligently to help us be as successful. While it was challenging, it was actually great teamwork to be successful the way we were. So I didn't take anything you said to be negative in any way, shape, or form, but I want to be positive in the way we state this. This was a team all-in effort to be successful, even though it took us to the last minute to be successful.
Yeah, we worked very well with them, you know, in that respect. It was a timing things of people being all over.
So
That makes life easier.
I guess I've got a kind of a general question. You know, where do you guys think we are in terms of, you know, relating to other communities of this size? You know, where are we kind of at?
I think the thing that you're gonna have in the next year or two from that standpoint is working through the staff turnover. A lot of knowledge went out the door, a lot of knowledge is coming in the door, but not sitting Ishpeming. So working through that knowledge and, okay, how are you doing things is gonna be the big hurdle in the next 2 years. You know, if you look at the economics of the city, I don't see big issues or swings there with your property taxes are radically gonna swing one way or another. You don't have tons of brownfields, you don't have, you know, big companies pulling out. I think companies coming in, you know, I see that kind of being flat, so it's more of the next 2 years is gonna be just the transition of staff and working through those hurdles, making sure nothing gets missed, what's gonna fall through the cracks that we forgot about.
So you kind of generally feel like our fund balance and spending is okay?
Yeah, as long as you keep kind of where you're at, looking at adding a little bit every year to it for now, I think you're okay. Keeping in mind that, you know, the 15% benchmark is a good number to, you know, keep that in mind as you're looking at things, because especially with the unknown of staff learning now of what's happening here, having that flexibility in the budget if something happens is really important. For a lot of times what I'll see is new staff come in, and it's no disrespect to the new staff, things get, oh, we didn't know about XYZ that pops up, and that takes a tumble for the local unit, and they can recover from it, but that's the bigger things to watch out for.
Yeah, and I echo what Craig said, that our new staff has been doing a phenomenal job of getting caught up and learning.
I really appreciate these, the graphs and the, having, I think this is the third or fourth one that we've been here for, and I feel like this is, the graphs in particular, I'm a very visual person, so I
Same.
like the graphs. But they do a really good job, I think, of illustrating what's going on, and I know when I first started, I didn't really, understand what was supposed to be happening, but people will say like, oh, Ishpeming's in really bad shape, and we're really not. I think we're in pretty good shape, and I think we've had a lot of change and a lot of projects and a lot of big things that we've been able to make happen, and meanwhile, overall improving our position. I think that's pretty
Yeah,
good.
we're able to, provide our employees with some, wage increases. We've been able to buy some things, and we are not 4.5 million in the hole. Our staff has done a phenomenal job.
Oh, it's encouraging. Thank you. And I think it's encouraging too that a lot of people had a hand in looking at this, right? Like the more people,
Yeah.
if more people look at it, I mean, I don't know, maybe if you're time crunched, maybe not as much, but like the more people that look at it and all sort of have the come to the same conclusion is reassuring. Yeah, so I mean, this year we had Jim helping, we've got Joe, we've got you guys looking at it, Plant Moran, like if there was something glaringly wrong, someone
Sarah.
would have caught that, yeah.
Sarah.
Sarah, sorry,
Kathy. All hands, yeah.
sorry.
Where are we at with the, probably not an Anderson Tachman question, but where are we at with the Treasury Department's umbrella, for lack of a better term, for the correction on our water fund?
In the audit?
That's done.
That's complete?
You're out of the hole.
Excellent. So we were putting a lot of money from our water fund back into that realignment.
That was fixed before we bonded, but then it improved since we bonded.
So the Treasury Department's order was done before we bonded?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, and a lot of that was timing, because you had to pay for so much of the project on the front end before you got reimbursed.
Does anybody have any other questions?
Sorry for all the questions. I'm still learning, so.
If you have the questions, so that people on the other end of the screen.
Yeah, if anybody has questions over time, feel free to ask.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, and from there, we can move on to item number 2, which is special event application and parade permit for Labor Day festivities on September 5th of this year.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we approve the Labor Day festivities as presented.
Support.
All those in favor? Yes,
We've been trying to get a hold of Michael Gregory. Outfit he has doesn't work.
oh,
There's no alternative route for business to make this entire street. is not working. So,
okay,
and we tried contacting him
I'll-
on the side.
okay, so
I'll
we
get a hold of
can, so could we amend the motion to say with DPW approval on the parade route?
Well, so we have a limited number of days to get the permit from MDOT to be on M28. We're already inside of that window, which makes it harder and harder and harder. If I had an approval tonight, we can do a permit tomorrow. But the lateness in this is challenging. So I guess our recommendation would be to maybe see if there's a way to route so it's not on 28 this year. And, we could follow Hematite and Lake or something, but finding a route that's not on M28 so that we can do it, so that we can manage the detour.
Why is 28 the problem?
There's no alternative route.
You have to have an actual detour.
Oh, no,
The road is
oh, I
closed.
gotcha, I
And
gotcha.
with Empire closed, there's no round about that area. That you'd have to go to Steel Street all the way up to past the high rise and around and come down. I mean, there is a long route around, but it's quite,
We couldn't even just go down Hematite and then on to 28 back over to the Elks?
Because that's not for you guys, because that's for them to put into a plan ahead of time. It's supposed to be in 45 days in advance, and you got it 30 days.
I know.
Limits us on our scope of being able to help them. But again, if you guys want to make the decision on what their parade route is, that's you guys do. It should come from the event founder.
Well, I think for the urgency we have, and it's a very important affair, maybe we should revisit it to Lakeshore and cut that corner out. Come down Main to Lakeshore. And then what would we have to do? Go Lakeshore up Lake?
so we went Hematite to Lakeshore and then come down Steel Street to Greenwood. That might be an okay detour as long as we don't, I guess the traffic or the traffic, the detour. The parade would be off of, we'd have to keep the parade off of Division as a whole, all the way down to at least the intersection of Lakeshore and Hematite. We can push around Lakeshore, but people coming down Lakeshore will have to come in and turn on Washington. I mean, we have to tighten anything on Lakeshore because we have to keep the detour route available. So if you come down Lakeshore from Jubilee, you have to have a way to go around. And you can't go in the direction of Euclid, or in the direction of Empire. So you can hit Washington and go around.
Yeah, huge buff. Buff Street.
Bluff Street.
Right down here.
Down here.
Why couldn't we just have it go down Hematite over to Lakeshore, and then you've got the detour that goes that way?
That's what I'm saying, we have to keep it off of this portion of Division.
Okay.
In order to be able to work something out for a roundabout, for a detour. Problem is the traffic coming off of
They'll have to.
the highway has to have an exit strategy. And right now, the exit strategy would be Washington Street.
Could they,
And they don't have that intersection. So again, the point that Bill was trying to make is, one, the plan came in late. They didn't sit down with Public Works and talk it out. And so we're trying to figure out what could be done, right? But right now, the way they've laid the plan on it doesn't work because of the Empire project. So we could, if you direct us to find a way in which we can still support the event but not impact the M28, or find a minimal impact to the 28 where a detour is possible. But that would have to be in your motion in some way, shape, or form so that we can continue to make this work.
well, however I have to amend it, I'll amend it. I do have to say this, it's, the person who submitted this, he's in a very new position here, because they just had some changes, so, I do want to at least highlight that, is that it's a new person that's handling this. So whatever, I guess I'm looking for a little guidance here.
And
on how you
this
want
guy
to-
has not been available?
You call a cell number and it goes straight to a voicemail.
He's
You can
been,
text him once.
he's been working 12. so,
before.
I mean, one of the alternatives, you guys want, instead of doing the detour, you change the parade route. And the street here.
So I guess the answer is to Councilmember Chapman made the motion.
Yep.
In order to get this through tonight and support the event, Councilmember Chapman should say to us in some way, shape, or form in the motion that the Public Works Department and the city manager should work with the event coordinators to find an amended route that works such that the traffic pattern is not impacted by a failure to be able to create a detour.
So
Something
moved.
that, something to that effect, so that we can help them
Yes.
find a route, make it a successful event. And after the Empire Street project is over, next
Yeah.
year they'll be able to go back to this route.
So,
I
yeah,
support, we have a so moved, I'll support that. My concern is this guy ain't answering the phone. So we're making a motion that has a big window in it.
Right, you're making a motion that we would help them achieve the result.
If we can contact them.
Right, I mean, if the event doesn't go off, we've done our part to say that we want the event to happen and that we're willing to help with the event happening, but we're not the event planners, we're the event supporters.
Well, I would recommend that we call a question, put that to bed. And I've got some friends and I'll call and
same here. I've got
somebody
some
will make them
friends.
get in touch tomorrow.
Yes, we'll be done. We've both got friends.
Okay, then we have a motion and support, and all those in favor, please say aye.
Hi,
Any opposed?
did you get the motion okay?
Okay. All right, so on to item number 3, which is the Bell Lift Station with the pump replacement
Yeah.
and SCADA, SCADA.
So the Bell Lift Station pumps are failing. One failed completely, and we have one we're able to nurse it along pretty good. The recommendation, it's a little late, but I actually had to order this pump because of the urgency. There's about approximately 30,000 gallons of water a day that goes through that lift station. The engineering firm that we're using is our maintenance contractor for the lift station. So it's more of just to let you know, the pump is on its way to be repaired. And what we're gonna do is, when they put this one in, the one that is majorly broken is going back with him. He's gonna fix it. That one's gonna come back and replace the Band-Aided one, and then we will have a spare on the shelf now for Bell Lift
The
Station.
Band-Aided one comes out, is that gonna go in to be repaired?
Yep.
So
they're
it's a
both gonna go get-
reliable.
Yep, everyone's gonna get repaired, but we just don't have a spare right now.
Your Honor,
And I authorized that.
Yes.
As an emergency purchase.
yes, and I was gonna say, I'll move that we confirm the emergency action that was taken
Yes.
for the pump for 4966.
Support. Good job, you guys.
And as a question, I remember at one time in my life, did we not have foreign material coming into that system from the hospital, and does that still exist?
Yes. Yes, that's what happened.
Foreign material.
But if we go to the next one, I'll be able to explain more.
Okay. So that should not be an issue that we drop anytime soon.
Correct.
It's great to have the hospital here, but
Correct, but it's not totally, the pump should have been able to handle little by little. So let's go to 3B.
Okay, well, hold on, we had a motion.
Oh, sorry.
We had a
Yeah.
motion and support to approve the emergency purchase. All those in favor, please say aye.
hi,
Any opposed? Okay, so then we're on to item B.
Sorry. 3B is the SCADA system. This lift station and 2 others are not on our program where we can monitor them over a period of time. So,
Bill, oops. When you did your tour of DPW, we showed you that digitally, they can monitor all of the lift stations with alarming systems, that if something is troubling, i.e. a additional pressure on a pump in a lift station, it sends an alarm to Public Works and they can then investigate it. And that system is the SCADA system. So when we're talking SCADA, we're talking about the alarming system for our infrastructure systems that are helping us to monitor so that the breakdown and the emergencies don't come as quickly or unexpectedly.
yeah, it basically boils down to we would have been able to just monitor the pump and know that it was starting to have a issue with plugging, and we would have been able to clean the pump in the pump chamber. And we probably would have prevented this from overheating. We overheated a pump. So this will prevent that procedure.
So this is 3, 3 pumps.
It's actually gonna control, it's gonna put the remainder of the 3 locations onto our SCADA system.
And that's gonna
So that-
cost $30,100.
Correct, and it's for the 3.
And that money is from where?
It'll come out
Sewer
of-
fund is there?
Sewer
Sewer
fund.
fund.
Yeah, there's funds available in the sewer fund, that come through Audit. No prepared budget, and there's an additional $40,000 that can be moved to cover this cost.
So moved.
And does it, I'll support, and my question is, does this have to be a budget amendment?
He just
I'll
said,
prepare a budget.
Yeah.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
so it's a budget amendment, okay.
I still want to reiterate that we need to look at that other problem.
Yep, we are,
You know, that's the root cause.
we are.
all right. All those in favor of adding those 3 lift stations, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then we're on to item number 4, which is police department ceiling repairs.
And again, as stated, we did do a request for multiple contractors. It's availability of contractors to do this work. But I'll let Chad kind of discuss anything that you have questions on, but the general issue is that Chad and staff came to work in the police department one morning and found portions of the drop ceiling on the floor and scattered and large chunks of heavy material, which turned out to be plaster from the original construction. So it has the old slat lathe pieces of ceiling, and when they looked above the drop ceiling, what had happened is this plaster has been cracking over time and it's sagging, and there's a large fall about to happen. And you can't see it because it was under the drop ceiling, so over time it was wearing out. We did attempt to see if this was something that could be captured under our insurance as a claim. It is not, because it's normal maintenance of the building, but because you can't see it. So this requires that the police department adjust its location of the front office for a period of time of about 2 days. So Roger would work in the old detective, the office of the detective, for which Chad vacated to move to the chief position. Roger would move there, the equipment would be shuffled around. We would have the ability to still manage some customers at the window and or an alternate door, so we're not impacting customers really, but we are impacting that workspace while they get in and do it, and Sealand understands that. But they wanted the whole place cleared out so that they can make sure nothing falls on equipment and they're not liable for people or equipment getting hurt. And it's about a 2-day impact, but it will get rid of the plaster ceiling that's falling and failing above.
So, Your Honor, I will make a motion that we approve the repairs to the ceiling and using Sealand's home improvement for a total of $6,200. I stopped there today and picked up a piece of that plaster, and it was really heavy. It could seriously injure somebody. It was that heavy.
Support.
Yeah, it needs to be done. I have
All right.
photos if anyone needs them.
All those in favor of approving the ceiling work, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Is he able to start that relatively quickly?
Yes, he's got availability for it.
If the need be, we'll have to get our own carpenter in there to make it safe.
Yeah.
So the first thing is to have adjusted staffing and equipment, and then it's not a danger to anyone anyway, so.
Yeah, that piece of plaster that fell off is like that big, and it's like concrete.
Okay,
Your Honor, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
all those in favor?